Before starting this video, I would like to ask you a question. When you see a person you don't know on the street, on a restaurant, on an event, on a wedding, and you see that they have a Rolex on the wrist, whether it's a Submariner, a Daytona, or any model, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? I believe that Rolex has an inherent problem that comes with its popularity. And the problem is not only Rolex's, but also of all of its customers. Now we all know that the counterfeit market generates a lot of money every year. It's a really big market. And we also know that Rolex is one of the most copied and counterfeited brand in the world. I would go as far to say that they are the most counterfeited brand ever. So now let's go back for a moment to the question that I asked you before. When you see a normal person, regular person walking on the street with a Rolex on the wrist, what is your first thought? And certainly I can confirm that my first thought when I see someone with a Rolex on the wrist is to ask myself, is it real or is it fake? At first, I thought it was just me, but talking to a lot of my collector friends confirmed that we almost feel the same. Rolex has become a symbol of success. When you achieve something, you celebrate with a Rolex. The brand positioning is impeccable and their watches are really high quality. However, as I mentioned at the beginning, Rolex's problem comes hand in hand with its popularity. The brand is so well known and so desired that everyone wants to have a Rolex, whether you can afford it or not. The desire to have something that you cannot afford, of course, leads to counterfeiting and deception. Now we won't discuss here whether buying a fake watch is right or wrong. I have a video that I will put the link up here where I talk about that. But you're gonna tell me, George, fake watches don't really affect brands. And I'm gonna say yes and no. And let me explain. It may help Rolex because it helps the brand maintain their levels of popularity. It helps for them to stay being the top of mind. It helps being the desired product. But as a user, I believe that it affects you the most. I understand that you should not care about what people think or what they believe they know about you. I was just talking to some collector friends. They have told me that they stopped wearing the Rolexes because the first question that they always keep getting asked is it real? Is it original? And to be honest, it's not really about whether it's real or not. It's more about the perception. Rolex is a symbol of success. If you wear a Rolex on your wrist, people assume you're successful, people assume you have money. But with so many copies in the market and so much counterfeits and deception, the perception of the brand changes. Instead of being seen as successful, now the first thing that comes to mind is whether it's authentic or not. I might be crazy and that may be my first question when I see someone wearing a Rolex. Because I'm a watch nerd, that's what I do. Maybe I'm wrong and this video is pointless, but let's continue. The question becomes, why do you like watches? Why did you choose the watch that you're wearing on your wrist right now? Why did you choose a Rolex instead of an Omega? Why choose a Seiko instead of a Citizen? What do you want to convey? What do you want to portray? But most importantly, why do you wear this watch? How does it make you feel? What do you want to feel when you wear this watch? Now, even though we've always said that watches are of a personal taste, knowingly and willingly or not, we convey a message. Everything we do conveys a message. When I was discussing this topic with a friend, he mentioned that seeing someone with a Rolex means that they can talk about watches. And I politely disagree. I think this is something curious that happens with really popular brands. I could accept that premise if we were talking about any other brand, maybe Omega, Grand Seiko, Jaeger-LeCoultre, or even Seiko or Orient. It doesn't need to be a really expensive watch. But let's be honest, Rolex is an entry-level luxury brand. 99% of people who buy Rolex don't actually like watches. Some buy it because someone told them they were an investment, or other people just buy the name and the crown because they want to buy a Rolex and they want people to know that they have a Rolex. Now, this may not be true a lot of times, but most of the time it is. I know that there's some watch nerds that love Rolex. That's great. They are great watches, and there is people that love watches that also love Rolex. But maybe for the 95, 96, 97% of other people that buy Rolex, they really don't care about watches. They are indeed a really high quality watch brand, but for the price, there are probably better options available, but that's just personal. From personal experience, when you try to talk about watches with someone wearing a Rolex, I don't know if they feel attacked. I don't know if they feel insecure. I don't know if they fear for their safety. I was talking with a really close friend of my family. I've known him for maybe 25 years or even more. We were in a wedding and I said, "Hey, that's a great watch. I really like your bluesy." The only thing he said was, "Thanks." He put his arm down and left. This was a family friend for over 25 years. He knows I love watches and he just decided he didn't want to talk to me. And that's what happens a lot. All that I'm saying about the brand, it's not a bad thing. Rolex has worked for decades positioning their brand at the highest level of luxury, and they have successfully become the top of mind brand. When you ask someone what is the best watch, 99% of people will say Rolex. When you ask someone what is the most expensive watch, 99% of people will say Rolex. But that is just my perception of what's happening with Rolex. But what do you think?